resumes tonight at 7:30. Looking forward to seeing how all that plays out, as I'm sure you are as well. We talked to Hugh Douglas about that. We also talked to Hugh Douglas about how the NFL is handling CTE and concussion. Some of the latest news on that we talked to about Hugh. So, yeah, that's right. Hugh and I, wacky, fun-loving guys, as per usual. And then we take a bit of a turn. We get real, as the kids like to say. We do, and then we try to get back to the wacky hijinks that we like so much as soon as possible. So Hugh will join us coming up in just a little bit. One thing we also got into with you, Ben Simmons, and I'm always curious to hear this from an athlete's perspective. If they've ever been around somebody or if they ever knew somebody that just, there was this one very basic part of their game that they just didn't want to take to the next level. For whatever reason, just one very basic thing that they never found it in themselves to go, I'm going to go to the next level here. And it kind of plays into the story that came out yesterday with Fletcher Cox as well. Fletcher Cox, now 30 years old. Jeff McClain wrote a story about Fletcher Cox and how he's on the wrong side. It's not even the wrong side of 30 anymore. It's the wrong side of 29 is what it is. Because Fletcher Cox turned 30 a couple of months back now. And look, this is a guy that's dealt with a lot of injuries over the last couple of years. And he has dealt with them, as in, like, found a way to play with them. Not dealt with them as, oh, let me take a couple of games off and then we'll see where I'm at then. No, he has played with those injuries. But now it comes out in this article, Jeff McClain, that the Eagles have concern, growing concern, I believe is how he put it, within the organization that Fletcher Cox isn't willing to do the necessary things to maybe go to the next level or maintain his level of his high level of play into his 30s, that being 31, 32, 33, 34. So that is something that is now a story. It's something that we will discuss greatly a little bit later on because it's something that's a little bit more pressing and it has to happen right now. But that's something we'll get into a little bit later with Fletcher Cox. Here's what has just been rattling around in my brain really since early afternoon yesterday when I was reading this story when I was out in the golf course. Yeah, I had my phone out. Sorry. It was a scramble, whatever. So I'm looking at the thing, and I'm reading the story, and Doc Rivers uses the phrase, not out of the woods. And he's doing that, he's using that phrase and applying it to Joel Embiid and his meniscus tear. We're not out of the woods yet, more or less, with Joel Embiid. That is just wildly concerning, considering he played game one, played 38 minutes, was dominant, as he likes to say. How it's hard to be dominant. Goes out there and is unbelievably dominant and is really a huge anchor for your team, especially in the second half when you started to get your you know what together. And then Doc Rivers comes out and says, it's still always worried. Always worried? I get like a fan always having to be worried. But if you're a coach, I mean, you have the medical reports, you have the doctors, you have the player right there, and checking with them throughout the game, as Doc Rivers said he did at least 5 different times throughout game one. And each time Joel Embiid came to him and said, oh, I feel great. I feel great. Like every single time he said that, according to Doc Rivers. And now you go through the waiting period. And I know sometimes after an injury, after the adrenaline's pumping, you come back down to earth a little bit. And then, ooh, there it is. There's that knee. Ooh, that's bothering me. Anyone who's had any type of injury in any sport ever, anyone who's really had any type of injury ever, you know that's how it can go sometimes. But particularly athletes who get the adrenaline going at a high level and then they're really feeling a lot less pain than when things shut down, when the game's over, for instance. So Doc Rivers says that he's always worried about Joel Embiid. It's a situation that they're going to have to continue to monitor, but the bottom line is they're not out of the woods yet with JoJo. I thought that if he could play on this in game one, he'd be okay for game two, especially with 48 hours in between. It wasn't like it wasn't like a back-to-back, for instance, where you were having him go out there 2 nights in a row. It was just interesting to me to see him play as much as he did in game one. Hear Doc Rivers talk about how he was checking in on him periodically throughout game one, and still Joel Embiid was he's got question marks around him for game two. I mean, I'm not shocked by just the label of questionable. I'm shocked by the conversation behind it. Because I would assume going into every game, when he does have a torn meniscus, the word questionable would come up. But I figured that would only be on paper, if you will, Well, no, he's playing. It's questionable, but he's playing, especially after. Like, what matters most is the ultimate currency, and the ultimate currency is the minutes. And watching him play the way he did and the amount of minutes that he did play in game one makes me feel a hell of a lot better about game two. And if there was a regression where all of a sudden you're not going to play Joel Embiid in game two down in a series 1-0, or in this case 0-1 for the Sixers before they go to Atlanta for the next two games, oh yeah, he would have to be banged up badly for him to play, for him not to play. And one of the other things I'll get into with Hugh is I never thought this was a thing, but in talking to a lot of former athletes, this is very much a thing. And this came to light, I believe it was 2016, and Joel Embiid was finally playing basketball, right? He played 28 games. He had a knee injury, and Brian Colangelo, good old Collars, comes out and says that Joel Embiid is okay. He had a knee injury, but he's okay. He's going to be back against the Houston Rockets for this nationally televised game. And he did. He played in the game. And then after that game, he was shut down for the rest of the season with a meniscus tear in his knee. I mentioned this last week with Kyle Neubeck when we were talking to him. And though the circumstances are much different, this is the playoffs. That was regular season. Sixers had nothing to play for really that year. They certainly do this year. And that started a conversation after Jerry Colangelo came out and said, or Brian Colangelo, excuse me, came out and said that Joel Embiid he did have a meniscus tear, but it was so acute, we didn't feel that it was worth reporting, really. And after that conversation, I heard from a lot of different athletes, various platforms, talking about how, like, oh, I have a torn meniscus right now. It's not that big a deal, and it just depends on the severity of it and how big it is, all that stuff. And Joel Embiid could very well be just one of those athletes who just has a torn meniscus right now. Just matters on the size of the tear, the length of the tear, obviously. It matters on the location of it and whether or not you can deal with pain. It'll get better depending on all those variations, right? But a lot of people already have a torn meniscus and are just walking around right now. Apparently, it's a very common thing for people to feel okay, just a little tweak here and there in their knee. Hopefully that's where Joel Embiid is at right now. Hopefully he is in the case that he won't make it any worse. And I would assume if he played as long as he did in game one and Doc Rivers kept on checking on him, as I've mentioned before, then we should be good to go when we look at game two. And I am expecting tonight Joel Embiid to play 35-plus minutes. I'm expecting the 76ers to win. Last time I checked, it was on DraftKings at -5. Sixers going into tonight at -5. We'll see if that changes at all. I know right before tip-off, when Joel Embiid was announced that he was going to be in the starting five, I saw it went up 1.5 or went down 1.5 for the Sixers. So that was interesting. But here's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Joel Embiid to play 35-plus minutes. I'm expecting Ben Simmons to come out aggressively on Trae Young. I don't think you really pull any punches here. I think this is a matter of Doc Rivers saying, to hell with everything else. Ben, as long as you're out there, you're on Trae Young. Stop Trae Young. Trae Young is the only guy that I don't want facilitating, and I also don't want scoring the basketball. Ben, have at it. Ring the dinner bell. Put a bell around Trae Young's neck. Follow that sound around wherever he is. That's all you're doing tonight, Ben. You know, we won't talk about the foul shooting yet. We won't talk about the jump shot. We won't talk about any of that. Just do that thing that you do so great. You do so well. It justifies in your coach's mind why you don't have to make free throws and whatever. Don't have to be a scorer per se, a 40 points per game type score. Do the thing tonight, Ben, that Doc Rivers says justifies everything else. Be the facilitator. And most importantly, in this particular case, go ahead and be that top 3 defensive player in the NBA this year as a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. Go out, do that tonight. Shut it down. Go to Atlanta 1-1. Come back, hopefully ready to lock things up and take it from there. That's what I am hoping to see tonight from Ben Simmons and from Doc Rivers for the most part. Because I think after tonight, if Trae Young continues to be a huge problem for this basketball team, and you don't have Ben Simmons on him throughout the majority of this game, which, again, is my prediction is that is exactly what they're going to do, especially after Ben came out, as we talked about yesterday, after game one, and said, yeah, if the refs let me play actual defense on Trae Young and they don't call every little thing, then, yeah, I would love to use my 6'10", 6'11" frame and play physical with him and actually play basketball if the refs will let us do that. He said on 2 different occasions, I want to play Trae Young. I want to do it, so we'll probably do it. It's more or less what he said after game one. So I'm expecting that to happen to Ben. If it doesn't, and they come out with Danny Green again, let me acknowledge this. Danny Green has been a very important part of this 76ers team. He's a champion, as we all know, a seasoned veteran, as we all know. Danny Green's been very important to the maturation process. We talk about it all the time with Doc Rivers coming in here and being that real authoritative voice to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Well, having teammates like that as well, it has helped these guys tremendously. And I give Danny Green every ounce of credit for that. Danny Green ain't hitting his shots right now. And Danny Green is getting spun like a top defensively. So other than that nice veteran presence, what's Danny Green doing for you right now? Nothing. I'm not saying his significant minutes are getting threatened, but if it continues, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Doc Rivers starts Matisse Thybulle on Trae Young, as opposed to just Ben Simmons all the time on him. I still think they're going to throw different looks at him. I just don't think it's going to be a matter of Danny Green really being on him for the foreseeable future. I expect Doc Rivers to make the adjustment. I expect if Doc Rivers is listening to Ben Simmons, the guy that he says is already the defensive player of the year, and that defensive player of the year, in your mind, Doc Rivers says, I want to be on Trae Young, then you're going to go put him on Trae Young. So that's one of the adjustments I expect to see tonight from the Sixers. Ben on Trae from the get-go. I expect to see Joel Embiid the 35-plus minutes. And then the one other thing I expect is I don't expect to see Shake Milton. Put it this way. I'm hoping we see Shake Milton tonight. And I think you know where I'm going with this. I'm hoping we see Shake Milton play for the Sixers tonight because in the fourth quarter, they're up 25 points, and you can go ahead and put him out there, and all will be right with the world, and you can get him his reps that way. But other than that, anytime a close game, yeah, I'm good on Shake Milton. Yeah, no, thanks, but no thanks. So those are some of the things I'm expecting to see from the Sixers tonight as they go into Game 2 against the Atlanta Hawks. And I am confident in saying the Sixers will go into Atlanta, and they will be even in this series 1 game apiece. And the Sixers cover the 5 points, by the way. So that's where I see this game, and that's how I see this game kind of playing out tonight. Let's get into this real quick. The Fletcher Cox story. And before we talk to Hugh, I want to make sure I get you some of these fine things here. This is from Jeff McClain's article in the Inquirer yesterday morning. There was a feeling, this is in reference to Fletcher Cox, who is now 30 years old. There was a feeling among some coaches, however, that Fletcher Cox wasn't maximizing his ability over the span of the last 2 years, taking necessary preventative steps in terms of his health, team sources said. There is an internal concern that he won't make the extra steps as he enters his 30s to retire in Philadelphia. That's a very haunting thing. And whoever the source is, I mean, it's easy to paint a picture of an older athlete that's cashed some big checks in his career, to paint him as a guy that's not willing to take the next couple of steps. And although as fans, we never want to hear anything other than he's doing everything he can to stay on the football field, keep his career going, and play at the highest possible level. It's easy to paint a guy in a bad light that's cashing those checks, that hasn't played really up to the level that we know he can play at over consistently enough over the last 2 years, as he has dealt with those injuries. I'm just curious. And look, I want to say this. I would like to see more from Fletcher Cox, bottom line. I think you would like to see more production from him. The one game that sticks out to me is the game against the Rams last year, and Aaron Donald was contained in that game, and the best defensive lineman in that game when the Eagles played the Rams, that was Fletcher Cox. In that game, in that particular game, the best defensive lineman was Fletcher Cox. I always want to see him play at a high level, and I think everybody wants to see him play at a high level. But I just found it interesting. The antenna went up, so to speak, when it came to Fletcher Cox and whether or not this was coming from a team that wants to position themselves in a good light within the next year or two to rid themselves of a big contract. Now, the other side of that is that Fletcher Cox has reworked his deal, as Jeff McClain points out in the article a number of times, in order to help the team alleviate some of the cap-strappedness that Howie Roseman has put them in over the last couple of years. So the guy seems like a pretty damn good team player to me. And when it comes to taking the necessary steps, that could be something that I know everyone will jump on, and I know it's low-hanging fruit for a lot of people, but it kind of just already for a team that's got cap issues, it kind of makes me go, something doesn't pass the smell test there. Whoever the source is could be laying the groundwork for a year or two going, well, Fletcher Cox had a great career as an Eagle, and then we see him go somewhere else, be dominant for another year or two, and then go by the wayside. But I just think it's a very easy picture to paint. So all I'll say is, while you're reading that story, and Jeff does a great job, but if he's getting that from the organization, that has to be put out. If he's getting that from a good source, that has to be put. And I don't doubt he's getting it from a good source. But if he's getting that from a source, it's got to be put out there. But I wouldn't be surprised if that source was thinking, all right, let me just lay the foundation for maybe the next year or two. We're done here with Fletcher Cox in Philadelphia. I do want to tell you here at the Steven Singer Studios about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, do what I do. Go to Steven Singer for all your jewelry and diamond needs. The other corner of 8th and Walnut or at IHateStevenSinger.com, because Steven prides himself on taking care of his customers every single day with the perfect price. No promo code, no sale, no discount. You walk in, guess what? You're already set. All you got to worry about is what looks good to you, what you like seeing, what do you think that special someone in your life would really like from Steven Singer Jewelers. Finding that person to spend the rest of your life with is great. But, some people can really hate the whole process of buying a diamond, but not at Steven Singer. That's why other jewelers really hate this guy, because he makes buying a diamond so easy, so comfortable, and just, so damn affordable, as a matter of fact. I really hate Steven Singer is what a lot of people like to say, but I don't know how you can hate this guy, because he takes care of everybody with the perfect price every single day. His diamond, his jewelry specialist, his real jewelers will walk you through everything the entire step of the way and make sure you feel relaxed. Real experts, real jewelers, real people that are there to help you find the perfect ring or gift for that special someone at the perfect price. No call center, no sales, no haggling. Every day, guaranteeing the perfect price every single day. Check out Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia, or online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com, always with fast and free shipping. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, on this beautiful Hughes Day morning, let's talk. Oh, by the way, coming up, let's see a picture of me and the Nasty Knuckles boys as we were out there golfing on French Creek Golf Club was the name of the place. Oh, and also we'll have some video for you later in the week, a little Farzy in the field action as well. Without further ado, let's talk to our good friend Hugh Lamont Douglas III. And joining us right now on the Zatos Investments guest line, happy Hughes Day, Hugh Lamont Douglas III.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I feel fantastic because I talked to you on Friday, and then I can talk to you again today. So this is just glorious.
Quick little turnaround.
Quick turnaround. All right, let's jump into it here. We here in Philadelphia are kind of pissed off at the 76ers for the way they played that first half against the Atlanta Hawks. How are the Atlanta Hawks fans? How is Atlanta feeling right now about this series?
Man, listen. My co-host, John Fricky, shout out to my man, John Fricky. I could not reason with him about the first game. I'm like, dude, this is a series. And I'm like there's a lot of basketball left to be played. And I said, I like watching the end of that game. Now I know, listen, I'm not a dummy. I know you can't trap and play that kind of physical the whole game. But the Sixers, to me, in the last, 5 minutes, they look like the Broad Street Bullies playing basketball. I'm watching basketball and a football game broke out. And the refs swallowed their whistle. And then it's like everybody on the Sixers look around like, hold up, they ain't calling nothing. Oh well, hell, let's do this then. And I'm like, I said, John, if they play the way that they played in that 5-minute stretch, if they play that way the whole game and the rest swallow the whistle, they're bigger than the Hawks. It might be a different game. And he was like, well, the Hawks can shoot. This is true. Everything is true. The Hawks can have shooters. They do. This is true. But when you get beat up like that and get physical like a whole game, that tends to wear on you. I said, I have to see before I sign off on that. I got to see how the Sixers come out this second game. Now, granted, it's a 7-game series. I think they surprised they surprised me the way that they jumped out.
Wow.
On the Sixers like that. But the Sixers fought back, and like Mark, I'm telling you, it was like I put my head down and I look up, and it was like a 4-point game, and I was like, "What the hell? We were just like up 20 points." You know what I mean? So it's going to be a highly contested series. I don't see it being easy. I'm trying to tell folks this ain't going to be no cakewalk. It's Philadelphia, and I'm like they got caught slipping a little bit, but this is going to be a highly Joel Embiid had 39 points.
Yes, in like 30 minutes.
Hey, I was like, hey, dog, hey, Ben Simmons out there talking about he want to guard Trey. Now I don't know if he don't want that. He don't want that, but still, it's gonna be a highly contested event, man. It really is. It's not gonna be an easy walk. It's not gonna be an easy cakewalk.
I always thought the series was going to be a close game by game. I thought it'd be close. I thought the Sixers win in 5, maybe 6.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I put it this way. I don't think the Sixers play the way they played in the final 4 minutes of that game, but they definitely at least play the way they played in the second half.
Yeah, they're going to play physical, more defense.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that had guarding Trey?
At first it was Danny Green, then it was Matisse Thybulle, and then it was Ben Simmons.
Hey, Danny Green ain't guard. They ain't going to do that no more.
No.
Hey, listen. They ain't going to do that no more.
I wouldn't be shocked if
you listen to the Farzy show, yo, hey, dog, they ain't gonna have you out there no more. It's a rap for you. Hey, dog, hey, good try. Hey, go ahead, holler at me. Hey, right here, hey.
His name is Hugh Lamont Douglas III, 92-9 the game, if you need to find him.
Hard to fire.
Hey, series shifts back there. What, Friday?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Thursday?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's Friday.
Friday, okay.
The next game is tomorrow night, right?
Yeah. Well, tonight, but when we air this, yeah,
tonight.
Yeah.
I think it's Thursday, Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are the fans feeling themselves? Do the fans feel like they got the Sixers number?
They feel pretty good. And I'm telling, I'm like, dude, I was in Philly a long time. This ain't over. This ain't like you can just tell. Like, dude, the momentum switched.
Oh yeah.
The momentum, the building was electric. Even when they were down 20,
mm-hmm.
I can feel that in this. I can feel that through my television. So I know that Joel and those guys. And another thing, Mark, it all depends. Joel played a lot for a guy that has a torn meniscus. Now you have to worry about swelling, and things of that nature. But I think they threw load management out the window when it came to him. So it all depends on how much rest he gets and how he comes back in the next game. So, that's going to be important too.
Okay. I have heard this, and you would certainly know more than me. When it comes to a torn meniscus, I have heard that that's common for a lot of different athletes to play with a torn meniscus. Like it depends on location and severity of the tear.
Yeah, I had one, and I remember I didn't get it repaired. It was like walking with a little bit of a limp for a while. It can heal itself. It just all depends on how bad it is. It's like the cushion, it's like the ball and socket thing. I'm not okay, but I play it on TV. It's the ball and socket thing, and it's like the cushion in between that it gets like a little tear in it, and sometimes they go in and they clean it out and smooth it over. So that's probably what it has. Just probably a little slight tear.
Okay. All right. Now, when we spoke before, you said that you thought the Sixers would win this series. Do you still feel like the Sixers will win this series?
I still kind of feel that way. I do, but man, I'm telling you, the way that they played, like you're talking about a young team that's getting healthy at the right time, that has a plethora of shooters. They got shooters all over the place. You talk about Kevin Herter, You talk about Danilo Gallinari, like he can shoot. And what, Lemon Pepper Lou? I was about to say Lou Williams, but we call it Lemon Pepper.
Lemon Pepper Lou.
Like,
that's great.
Pepper Lou. So we got some shooters, man. So there's a chance there. But what concerns me, again, is the physicality of the Sixers. And this is the thing I was trying to tell somebody today. Is like, well, you know, the Knicks played them physical and they still won. I was like, no, the Knicks were like more like bullies. They were more bullyish as opposed to physical. To me, is playing within the realm of the game, just leaning on you a little bit, using your size to your advantage, and they're athletic. Bully ball was when you just couldn't, like, you know, you talk about the last game that they played. Yeah. They kept it close, and when it started to get out of hand, they just started pushing and shoving people because they couldn't compete. It's a little bit different thing when you talk about a team that's bigger than you that can compete with you. And, you know, you talk about another thing. Seth didn't have his greatest night shooting either. You know, that was a guy that concerns you. So it just all depends on how they answer that bell. This is a young team, Marc. And the one thing that I pointed to the other day when I was talking about it, Kevin Herter, like if you look at the last, 3 or 4 minutes of the game when they started trapping Kevin was out of sorts when they were trapping him. That he's so much so that he called a timeout. Yeah. He was like, what the hell are they doing? Like, he was playing basketball and a football game broke out, and he didn't know what to do. He He was just like, oh, hell, what the hell's going on here? So they have to – I wonder how they're going to adjust to that, because I'm pretty sure Coach McMillan is telling them that they're going to come out a lot more intense and a lot more physical. So how they match that intensity and that physicality and still be able to shoot, if you can do all of that, they got a shot. Yeah,
I think – and I think Ben Simmons summed it up rather well, and I think you heard the same thing that I heard, that Ben Simmons wants to guard Trae Young. He said that in the post-game press conference, and he said, if I can be physical and the refs don't call everything and they let us play, then, yeah, I want to guard Trae Young, and I want to make sure that I can show him how good a defender I can be.
But Ben Simmons, what they call this more, Ben Simmons is what they call a foul merchant. So he's a merchant of fouls. So if you want that, and Trae has been.
Who was calling him that?
I'm not telling, because it's a. When I said he don't want that smoke, but it was one of my coworkers. But yeah. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was almost in foul trouble the other day trying to guard Trae.
Yeah.
So if you know, like, Trae does a great job of getting to the charity stripe. So put Ben Simmons out there if you want to. Put him out there if you want to and see what happens. But like you said, if the refs aren't calling, if they call the way they did in the second half, they have a shot. The Sixers definitely will make it a different ball game. It'll be a different ball game.
Yeah, I think I absolutely think they will. You know, let me ask this question about Ben Simmons, because I'm just curious. I'm not looking for you to name names. If you want to, by all means, go ahead. But have you ever been around an athlete or covered an athlete now in your time as a radio personality that, like with Ben Simmons, there's this glaring thing. It's one of the most basic things in all of sports, a basketball player to shoot a basketball, if not the most basic thing, obviously, for just a basketball player. But it's a glaring thing that's not even attempted. Like the foul shots, there's been bad foul shooters before. Mm-hmm. It's rare to see an all-star who just won't, not just a 3-time all-star, who's bad at free throws and won't shoot the basketball. He's a great defender. He's a great facilitator, but this one very basic aspect of his game, there's either a mental block or just a simple refusal to do it. Like, can you think of anybody like that? Any examples jump to mind of anybody that just had this one thing that if he just worked on that would have made him take it, that maybe would have taken him to in basketball case, an all-star to an MVP, or from a Pro Bowler to an all-pro?
You know what? Basketball is a strange sport when it comes to what people like and they dislike about their players. You know, and with Ben Simmons is a hell of a defender. No question about that. Mm-hmm. Hell of a defender, bar none. But for whatever reason, from what I've heard, people get mad at him because he's not a great shooter, or he's not a great,
he doesn't shoot.
Yeah. And to me, that, I don't know why, like, it has to be both in basketball. I mean, I understand it because I don't understand it, but it has to be both. I think that in time he will become a better player, because you think back way back when LeBron was young, and they talked about how LeBron everything was on him. Everything was on him. He had to carry the team or whatever. Then there was a phase where LeBron went through where everybody was mad at LeBron because he was facilitating too much. He was giving the ball to too many people. And it's one of those things, man, where I think there's greatness in each individual player. But for whatever reason, basketball fans can't embrace that. It's always, you know what, the one that always gets me is I saw a meme a couple weeks ago. They were talking about how when LeBron was in the finals, how LeBron James, Kobe and Michael Jordan went out of their way to tell people how they weren't injured when they were.
Right.
LeBron James is the only player that tells you he's injured and tries to get you to believe that he's injured. Dude, LeBron James is a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, to some people, he would never be as great as or better than Michael Jordan. I don't understand that. They're all great. They're all great. But it kind of goes back to what we're talking about, Mark. It's basketball is a strange game when it comes to players and their individual talents, and people. It seems like they always want more from them when they're just giving you what they got at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he has time to grow. Ben has time to grow, in my opinion. He has time to grow.
Well, okay, so let me phrase it a little differently. The question then. Are you aware of athletes just having this thing that's just like a mental block about them not wanting to do something in particular, but knowing that next thing would take them to the next level?
No, I've never been around or heard of anybody acting or doing anything like that. And to that point, I don't think Ben Simmons is doing that. I just think that this is the space that he's in. You know what I remember about Ben? I remember when he was at LSU and they were playing in the SEC conference finals, to go to the playoffs his last year, and he was out there on the court chilling. He was playing hard. He was chilling because he was like he's getting ready to go to the next level. Mm. So I mean, I just think that's not right now. That's just not a part of his game.
Gotcha.
He's still a great player. I think he's still a great player though.
Mm-hmm. I got to ask you about this. Speaking with Hugh, and I know we often have a lot of fun and we joke around and we enjoy our usual hijinks, my friend. But I have to ask you about something serious because it's come to a head in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Something called race norming, and tied into concussions and CTE, and how a representative from the league said he needed to do a better job. All that. As a former player, as a guy that was in the league for a long time, as a guy who played for a couple of teams. When you hear this, first off, do you have any experience with it? And then second, like, how are you, just as a former player, how are you doing?
I think I'm fine. But to your point, Mark, I have had some experience with it. I had to go. I did the CT concussion test and everything. As a matter of fact, I had to take my wife with me. Simona came with me at the time because they don't really want to talk to you because they want to talk to somebody close to you because that person can better tell them about who you are as a person. And I remember sitting in there and they was asking her specific questions. And when she answered them, I kind of just looked because I never knew that's how I was perceived.
The doctor was asking questions?
Well, he was asking questions to her.
To Simona, okay.
He was asking Simona questions. And I never knew that's how it was perceived. She was like, so is he kind of standoff? She said, yeah, he has moments where he's a little moody and he can, be off to himself. And I'm like, and one time they asked me, they were like, have you ever had any times where you blacked out? And I was like, no. And she's like, yes, you did. Remember that one time you blacked out and you did it? And I was like, oh. Like, I was surprised because I had forgot. She didn't forget because, she lived it. So it was one of those things where to hear somebody describe you as a person and how you are and you think you're fine, it was a little disturbing.
You had no memory of it.
Well, it was just like, it was okay. It was certain things that you don't recall that she recalls, like me being a little standoffish or being a little bit of a loner. To me, that's just me being me. But that could be perceived as being antisocial or standoffish kind of attitude to have, and then to come to find out later that there's a lot of guys that play in the NFL that are kind of skew the same way. They don't mind being by themselves. They're kind of like a little bit of a loner, if you will. So it was kind of surprising to hear that about when she said it, and then just taking the test and everything. Some of the cognitive tests you took, it was something that it was a little different. It was a little different.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like race norming has been a part of that?
You know what? It's funny because when I went into the office and I talked to the guy, even before I did the test, he asked me certain questions, And he said, "Oh, you're fine." And I was like, "Wait a minute." And I'm thinking to myself, "Fine? I haven't even taken the test yet." And then come to find out that I completely failed the test. And I'm like, "Come on, man. I don't know about, I don't know. I don't think that I'm, messed up as other guys, but knowing what we know about concussions and CTE and what has been found in previous guys who died and given their body the signs, there has to be something there." And it just kind of makes you wonder why the NFL is making it so hard for some of these guys who are in way worse conditions than I am to get the help that they need. And it really makes you wonder what is really going on, because they've had this fund put aside for at least I would say about 10 years now, something like that. It's been a while. And I don't recall any guys, not too many guys have benefited from this at all. And they've made it real hard for guys to just get, the basics that they need. Nobody's trying. I think they're looking at it like, guys are trying to get a second money grab or something like that. I don't look at it like that, Mark. I look at it like, I don't want to be a burden to my children. I don't want to be a financial burden to my kids when, if it just say my mental faculties go, and now I'm financially strapping my kids, and they need to figure out, okay, what we're gonna do with that, because his 401k or his pension ran out, and now we don't have this, that, or the third. So that's how I'm kind of looking at it. It's not so much about me and how I want to live. It's about just in case something happens to me, so my kids don't have to bear that financial burden.
Gotcha. Well, man, God bless you, brother. You seem great with me. I'll say that, my friend.
No, but you know what, Mark? That's the scary thing about it.
Right.
You think about all the guys that have passed and the people that were close to them and the guys that have taken their own lives. Think about the people that were close to them and they didn't see it coming. You know what I mean? And you just never know. You just never know what anybody's going through. Dorsey Levens, me and him talk all the time. Dorsey's down here. And Dorsey was telling me, we were just casual conversation. He said, you'd be surprised at how many guys that have played in the NFL that have contemplated suicide. He said, but they don't talk about it because it's a sensitive, it's like, it doesn't go with the masculine aspect of being a football player. It's like you're being weak or something, talking about your mental health or your personal feelings. So then we don't talk about it. But it's a real thing, man. And we see guys do it all the time. And we see guys that are dealing with stuff all the time. So it's a little surprising knowing that the game that we played for so long and that we gave to for so many years really is real hesitant to give back to us a little bit.
Right. Hey, Brian Dawkins does a lot for mental health right now for that same reason.
Oh, yeah, man. Think about it like this, man. This pandemic, like, it's a blessing and a curse in the sense that since we've been in it, it has brought mental health awareness to the forefront. You look at, what was her name? Coco Gauff. The young, no. Naomi,
Osaka.
Oh, I'm talking about the wrong one. My bad. But Naomi Osaka.
Yeah.
And how she talked about her mental health. Man, think about that, Mark. Athletes back in the day would never talk about something that serious.
No.
And then you think about some of the athletes that say, oh, well, you're an athlete, you're a professional athlete, you make a ton of money, you should be able to take all the pressure. Hell, money ain't got nothing to do with mental health. Hell, if you having issues, you got issues. You need help. And so, it's the time is now, and people are talking about it. So, the NFL. Bottom line is, the NFL needs to do better. They just need to do better.
I swear, Hugh, I was gonna ask you this question even before we started talking about memory. Do you recall earlier in the interview when you referred to the Atlanta Hawks as we?
I do. hey, Mark.
Yo.
I work at 19.
I know.
Hey, just as well as I do. The PD, your program director, always say, you always got to say we because you're a part of here. You're a part of the team. Man, listen, this is the only time me personally, I hate when Philly teams play Atlanta teams. I hate it because I am straddling the fence. I'm living in two worlds, and you're going to hear me have some Freudian slips every now and then. And it happens. And you know what the worst part about it is when I tweet and Philly fans see my tweets, It's almost like, hey, don't forget where you came from. But my bread is buttered. I'm buttering my bread.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep butter on my bread, man.
Yeah. Understood. Last thing, we've talked about this before. The Eagles, the Hawks are playing right now against the Sixers. The Eagles visit the Falcons for week 1 of the NFL season and now officially do not have to face Julio Jones. And that obviously helps the Eagles not having to see him. The Eagles didn't trade for him. They got 2 young wide receivers. They're hoping really pan out. What is the reaction to Julio Jones no longer being in Atlanta?
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Hey, from Philly,
nice. I was gonna say, boys to men.
People were glad it's over because it was like a dark cloud hanging over your head. Torn. Some people are happy for him. Some people are mad at him because he wanted to go. And I just told him, I'm like, hey man, this is the business. This is the business of football. It's unfortunate that the game that we love so much, Mark, always smacks us across the ass and lets us know that it's real life out here, like a big old smacky ass, like bah, bah, bah. Yeah, it's just that's what it is, man.
Did you get enough back for him? What a second and a fourth,
bah.
or a second and a sixth? What did you get back for him?
I thought you were talking about the ass smack. Yeah, it was a second. It was a second in next year's draft, and then it was a fourth in 2023, and they sent him, and I think it was a 6th round pick.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. This is the thing that I know Julio loves. He gets his whole salary.
Yeah.
15 of them things, 15 yams to go to Tennessee and be a tight. And he gets his jersey.
All right.
Jersey.
15 yams.
Yeah, he gets 15 yams and he gets his jersey.
God bless you, brother. Hugh Lamont Douglas III joining us on this fine Hugh's Day. Thank you, sir.
Holla.
We covered a lot of bases there with Hugh Douglas as he joined us there on the Zatos Investments guest line. A lot of bases. Want to jump back to some of that stuff more so in just a second. But before we do that, I do want to tell you about our friends at Philadelphia Sports Nation. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Check out our friends at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. And how about DraftKings? I almost don't want to tell you about big bets because I took a big bath last night. But here you go. DraftKings, ladies and gentlemen. Bet better than I do with DraftKings. And here's the way you can do it. First off, use promo code Farzy. That's right. Promo code Farzy. Go to your phone. Download the app right now. Promo code Farzy. And here's what you can get with that. Here's what you can get. You can get a $1 bet to pay you back $100 in site credit if you just pick a basketball team in the playoffs that you like to win. They win. Bang. $100 in site credits right there when you use promo code Farzy. DraftKings Sportsbook putting you courtside with this great offer. It's the #1 sports betting app in America, and that's the great offer they're giving away with promo code Farzy. That's right. Pick any basketball team that is still in contention. Bet $1, and if that team wins, you win $100 in site credits. Don't forget, DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds as well and promotions on baseball and hockey and so much more. DraftKings is safe and secure and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on the basketball team of your choice to win, and the next game they win, and guess what? You win $100 in site credits. That's promo code Farzy for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Present in Pennsylvania. New customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And how about Steak and Maine? Let's see, what's today's Tuesday? Just a couple of days away here from going to Steak and Maine. Excited about it, ladies and gentlemen. Steak and Maine fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, freshly prepared sushi. All that. And an extensive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. Open every day for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself at steakandmaine.com. Oh, boy. Did I I had a pleasure yesterday, had the absolute pleasure of actually being in the same room for the first time since we started this little adventure here, this show, with the FanUp guys. My man Kerry, my man Tage, the great sponsors of this program. They have the great app, the FanUp app that you have to download. It's like fantasy sports brought to life amongst your friends whenever you want it, basically. It's awesome. You got to download the app, the FanUp app in the App Store, and get in on all the incredible stuff that they're doing right now where you can win brand prizes. You can win some great stuff, some sports memorabilia. Take advantage of all that FanUp is offering right now. The days of playing fantasy sports alone are over. And Tage and Kerry were telling me about it yesterday. The site is the app is off to a great start thanks to a lot of people from this program that are downloading it and using it. So good hustle to all you fine people. It's super fun. It's easy. It's daily and weekly contests you can get in on. You can rise on their leaderboard by answering questions. It's a great time. Squad up with your friends. I know Dan Schwartz, my man, big viewer of the program, follower of the show, really enjoys the challenges. I always enjoy the challenges coming in from our fine listeners. You can even challenge me and hit me up at Farzy Show on FanUp. So make sure you do that. Fun, easy, and always a good time. The only site you can win brand prizes for your sports knowledge. Download the FanUp app right now and use promo code FanUp for 2,000 bonus points just to start you off. That's FanUp. May the best fan win. Folks, I'm going to say this right now. This is the best chat we've had going. And I'll tell you why in just 1 second. But first, I'll tell you, this is a little thing we like to call social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. I will say that my bald, big, fat redhead has been getting a lot of attention today. First off, I did wear a hat. We're going to show you a picture a little bit later that will refute that statement. But I did. I wore a hat and sunscreen. Neil Little was kind enough to give me some of his spray sunscreen, and it didn't do much for me. Anyway, the prize is some sunscreen. That's very good, Kevin. Thank you very much. Pete saying, I thought no one would notice. Oh, I knew it was undeniable. I knew it was. I was like, oh, should I just do a podcast today? No, I don't care. Whatever. Have your fun, people. We're all here. We're all in the circle of trust. We're all in the circle of trust of the Farzy Show. The over-under on days until Marc's scalp starts peeling. Lincoln is checking in. What's up, Lincoln? How you doing? I usually go a week, maybe a week and a half, if I get bronzed pretty well here. Mally, I saw you type in earlier here that my wife was probably laughing when I walked in the door. My wife, I park in a park in the garage. I get out, and my wife's there on the stoop with or the step, right? As the authentic Philly people like to call it, the step. And my wife's sitting there with little toots and my almost 2-year-old daughter. And she goes, wow, you got tan? And I go, tan? I don't think I got tan. And it was one of those things where I got off the golf course and I walked right into the locker room, right? And I look in the mirror and I go, oh, damn. And Todd Harriman was right there next to me, and he goes, yeah, you got some sun, brother. And anyway, I walk in, and my wife says, oh, you got tan. She's tan. I go, I don't know if that's the thing. And then 2 of our friends walk around the corner, and they go, oh, Marc, you got some sun. And I go, yeah, Celeste just called it a tan. Toots just called it a tan. Certainly not. So I would say a week and a half. I'd set the line at 9 days before I really start to peel like an SOB. Pete also wants someone to. Pete also says, "Why doesn't Ben shoot?" It's not like we're asking him to grow taller. I want somebody to actually ask Doc Rivers after a game, why isn't Ben taller? And then just him make every excuse in the book. Oh, Ben's just not going to be a 7'5" type of guy like y'all want him to be. That type of thing. By the way, my Doc Rivers impression it's not even an impression. It's more of just an homage to. Ben is flawed. He's incapable, and he's smug about it. Matt Snell. I would agree with all that, actually. I do really love all the people referring to me as a redhead. I don't know why I find that so damn hilarious, but I really do. It is pretty damn funny. Don is chiming in. Don Vito is chiming in saying that, Farzy, it's called a course, not a field. You are correct. Although the bit is Farzy in the field. Farzy on the course. Farzy at the country club. I don't know what you call it, but yeah, of course, I get what you're saying there. People comparing my redhead to Mike Sealski. Is that what we've come to? Don Vito also checking in and saying good morning to everyone except Lou Nolan. What? Lou Nolan is a saint. You bite your tongue, sir. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm like the biggest new Lou Nolan fan on the planet. Let's see what else we have from all you fine people. Dan Schwartz, our friend, is saying, if Joel doesn't play tonight, there is a really good chance that Marc's head is still red. Fine point. I like what you did there. You tied it all in together with some fine sports takes. Mally's saying if Marc had a hot weather girl, he would know that the sun was going to be out and should have worn a hat. I did wear a hat. Though, again, why am I even going to show you this picture where I'm not wearing a hat? Damn it, man. Lincoln's back. He's saying steak and Maine lobster. That's what my head looks like. I like what you did there. Thank you for getting the sponsor tie back in. That's very nice. April, what's up? April's back. We missed you. And I like that everyone else will welcome back April as well. April, it's nice to have you. Morning, good people. Yo, Farzy, you got lobsterish. I did. I will say, there is a thing, I will say this amongst many, maybe Don Vito knows this if he's actually a Vito. There's a thing amongst Italian Americans about not wearing sunscreen. Like, I don't need sunscreen, I'm Italian. I do not live by that rule. Although, again, evidence would suggest otherwise. I especially as a bald bastard, try to get that spray on there real nice. I think what I have to do is just stop with the spray and just go to the full-on lathering, right? Of all over, right? That's the thing that I have to do there. But I swear to you, I was wearing a hat. Anyway, that was our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's jump to our Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and skymotorcars.com. Morning Rush segment right now. Got a lot to get to in this segment. First off, let's present the evidence while we're on the subject. Jim, do we have that photo of me golfing? Okay. You can look at this right now, folks. There I am with the Nasty Knuckles boys. That's Neil Little, former Phantoms goalie, former Flyers goalie as well. We also have, let's see, Derek Settlemeyer, Nasty, that other fella in the middle there with the shirt, that's me. And then that's Riley Cote. I will say, Derek Nasty gave me one of those shirts, gave me one of those polos, golf shirts, and I did wear it for the back nine because it got so sweaty on the front nine. And he brought one for me anyway, but he's like, oh, Farzy, I brought this for you too. Very awesome quality, I will say, and they got the Nasty Knuckles logo on there, so that was awesome. Had so much fun golfing with these guys, and again, it was for a great cause. Athletes transitioning from after their athletic lives into their more of the you and me lives, if you will. But just had a great time. Beautiful golf course. Neil Little. I saw Neil Little win a Calder Cup. Actually, both Calder Cups I was in the stands for. And I think I don't know if it was on the interview I did with Riley some months ago. I believe I told him, maybe off the record, that I would probably nerd out the most if I ever met Neil Little. Because when the Phantoms won the Calder Cup, the first one, my buddies and I had just graduated from 8th grade. And then, I think it was exactly 4 years later, we just graduated from high school. And spur of the moment, we went to see the Calder Cup team. We went to see the Phantoms again. And Neil Little asked me which was my favorite one. And I said, oh, the first one. Neil Little was the primary goalie. And then the second one, that team was stacked. If you remember the lockout, the Flyers obviously weren't playing. So like Patrick Sharp, before he hit his stride as a pro, as an NHLer, was with the Phantoms. I think Mike Richards, Jeff Carter, I think Niittymaki was the goaltender of that team. Like, that team was no joke stacked in the AHL because all those guys were primed for the NHL, but they could just get in under the wire to play in the AHL, and they dominated. Anyway, that's your Calder Cup talk for today. But Neil Little was awesome. Great guy. Had so much fun yesterday, again, for a great cause. Athletes for Care. Riley Cote is a co-founder of that. Saw Todd Harriman. Talked to Jason Kelsey. I talked to Freddie Mitchell. Freddie Mitchell was there yesterday, and Freddie is always entertaining. I got to say that about Freddie. And I will say this. I asked Freddie about Devontae Smith, and somehow, magically, Freddie answered the question about Freddie. We'll let you hear all that stuff later in the week. More on our Morning Rush segment here. We're talking about Fletcher Cox Show. Daryl Morey, ladies and gentlemen. Daryl Morey fined $75,000 for a tweet. I don't care how much money that man is making or how much money that man has made. $75,000 for a tweet. And it was at Steph Curry, because he commented on how great a game his brother was playing, and Daryl Morey, a GM, you can't do this. He said, join him. That's considered tampering. At least that's what the league considered it to be. So they fined his ass $75,000 for a tweet. Kids, you got to be careful on the social media. Got to be careful in the social media. Just a little word to the wise there. Elsewhere in basketball, Nets go up 2-0 on the Bucks. Who told you the Bucks were a fraud? This guy told you the Bucks were a fraud. They're down in the series 2-0. James Harden, hamstring injury. Don't know where we're going to see him again. But they go out there. The Nets win yesterday, 125-86. Nets dominated. Now while we're talking about the Nets, and this is our Morning Rush, we can do some side stories here. Barstool highlighted this yesterday. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but they have reason to believe that Kevin Durant went on a date with former star of adult film, Lana Rhoades, who's a lovely lady. And he went on a date with her. And then because, well, I don't know if it's because, but allegedly he brought his what do you call it? His regular lady with him. Like his lady that he has relations with, he also brought on the date. And it was in case Lana didn't want to have relations with him. He said, I'll have relations over here with this lady. And Lana was taken back by this, and they have reason to believe, Barstool has reason to believe, they did an investigation, they have reason to believe that ball player was Kevin Durant. They did the investigation. It's not concrete evidence, I will say that, but that's who they think it was, according to Barstool. It's a wild story. A wild, wild story. It wasn't looking for the zone coverage. He was looking for man-to-man, but apparently in case the lady didn't want even that, he had another lady. A backup plan is how Barstool put it, basically. Wild story. Worth the 3 minutes of actually watching that. Anyway, what else do we have here? Wow, the Suns. Oh, my God. The Suns, ladies and gentlemen. They, in the fourth quarter, if you want to see a masterful performance, if you have an opportunity to somehow magically today go back and watch the fourth quarter of the Suns game against the Nuggets yesterday, go back and watch Chris Paul in the fourth quarter. And this is nothing new from Chris Paul. This is what Chris Paul does. People talk about using that word closer and applying it to other sports. Chris Paul is a closer. Chris Paul's like, oh, do we have a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter? Oh, we Gucci. We're good here. He controls the basketball, hits mid-range jump shots, does everything you need in the fourth quarter to control the pace of play and make sure you close out that game with a win. That's exactly what he did in yesterday's game. They actually, the over-under was 53. Or 54. Yeah, it's 54 in the fourth quarter. I love betting fourth quarter over-unders. And this one I actually missed on because Chris Paul, I actually bet the under because I thought things were going to slow down. I thought the Suns would start to blow them out. And then, scrubs would be in like they were with the Nets. I won the fourth quarter under for the Nets Bucks game easily. But this particular game was just crazy, just absolutely bonkers. And they actually went off in the fourth quarter. But what Chris Paul did in that fourth quarter was just a thing of beauty. So the Suns won last night 122-105. They're up in the series 1-0. Let's move on to our big bets now. That was our Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars and SkyMotorCars.com. This is Big Bets brought to you by DraftKings, DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure you use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy when you use DraftKings and download the app onto your phone. I like the Sixers tonight, -5. I got them at that last night going after all the other games wrapped up. I checked in on the Sixers. They're at -5. I took the Sixers, and a prop bet I really like tonight because I think Joel Embiid is playing tonight. Prop bet I like tonight is Joel Embiid over under 1.5 3-pointers. I got them down for at least 2 tonight. So I put some money on that. I put some money on the Sixers to win and 2 threes from Joel Embiid. 2 things I like going into tonight's basketball game. You can get all that action and more at DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code Farzy. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see what reddish hue my head is tomorrow. But appreciate everybody who chimed in on our social media. I believe Twitter was having an issue with Periscope earlier today. So for the a couple more people that jumped on our YouTube feed, I appreciate you guys doing that. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to have you back. Make sure you click subscribe on YouTube as well. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who did a fine job producing the program and was also running around. You think I was crazy with no hat? Jim was wearing jeans on the golf course yesterday. That crazy man operating a camera and a drone while we're teeing off. All that stuff. So my thanks to Jim Hyden, produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzy. Thanks for joining us here at the Steven Singer Studios. We'll be back with you tomorrow talking about how the Sixers are knotted up at 1 game apiece against the Atlanta Hawks. Have a great day, everybody. Take it easy.